Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're going to completely reframe how you look at those old, tangled electronics sitting in a drawer in your home right now. You know the exact drawer I'm talking about, the ones stuffed with dead smartphones, absolute mystery cables, and tablets that haven't held a single charge since, 2018? We usually just write this stuff off as harmless clutter, right? But what if I told you that very drawer is actually tied up in a global environmental crisis, a fierce consumer rights battle, and a billion-dollar resource revolution? Let's get into it. Okay, we need to start with this absolutely staggering number, 62 million. That is the number of tons of electronic waste pumped into the global environment in 2022 alone, according to the World Health Organization. 62 million tons. That's just mountains of discarded devices, leaking pollutants, and literally wasting incredibly valuable materials. It's a massive and rapidly growing issue.
So, in this explainer, we're going to quickly walk through 5 key things: the e-waste epidemic, the right to repair movement, the promise of urban mining, how to wipe your personal data safely, and exactly where you can go to recycle your old tech.
All right, part 1, the e-waste epidemic, a growing global crisis. Now this is wild. The vast majority of a smartphone's carbon footprint, a whopping 85% of it, actually comes from its initial production. It's not the electricity you use charging it every night, it's the manufacturing process. A modern smartphone needs at least 70 different elements to be produced. We're talking things like indium, nickel, magnesium, and cobalt. Extracting all those materials, building the phone, and then shipping it all over the world, it takes a massive, massive toll on the planet. And this really captures the harsh, on-the-ground reality of our global tech consumption. What you're seeing is informal recycling in places like Ghana. Sadly, impoverished nations often bear the brunt of our tech habits. They face brutal mining conditions just to extract elements like cobalt, and then they have to deal with incredibly unsafe, polluting disposal methods, like open burning, when those devices are finally discarded. The air, the water, the trees, they all suffer immensely. Every time we toss a phone after just a year or two, we're actively driving this devastating cycle. So how on earth do we slow this cycle down? Well, that brings us to part 2, the right to repair, consumer rights. Have you ever had a phone that worked perfectly fine, except the battery just wouldn't hold a charge anymore, and then you were told it was basically impossible to replace it yourself? Yeah, you're definitely not alone there. The right to repair is this growing consumer rights movement advocating for the simple ability of everyday individuals and small businesses to legally repair and modify their own gadgets. Advocates are stressing that extending the life of a device through, accessible repairs is one of the most powerful ways we have to reduce e-waste. Plus, it keeps the cost of technology way more manageable for all of us. The core goals of this movement are actually pretty straightforward. Basically, advocates are pushing manufacturers to make diagnostic tools and replacement parts publicly available. They also want laws that let you legally unlock software to keep using a device even after the official support ends. But really, it's about changing consumer expectations, pushing companies to design devices that can actually be opened up without just snapping in half. France has even introduced a mandatory repairability index ranking to try and shift consumer behavior right there at the checkout counter. But look, even with the right to repair, devices do eventually die. And that introduces a really incredible new way of sourcing raw materials. Part 3. The promise of urban mining. Cities as new mines. Our cities have quietly become some of the absolute richest mineral deposits on Earth. I'm serious. Urban mining is exactly what it sounds like. It's the process of recovering valuable metals and materials from discarded products. Think old electronics, construction debris, stuff like that, instead of extracting brand new natural ore from the ground. We are literally mining the waste we've already created. Just look at the staggering contrast between these two approaches. On one side, you have a traditional open-pit copper mine. That requires moving massive, massive volumes of rock. It uses tremendous amounts of energy and water and leaves behind these toxic tailings. But on the other side, a dense, highly accessible pile of sorted scrap metal just sitting in a local yard. Recovering metals from urban waste uses just a fraction of the energy and causes significantly less environmental harm than, digging a giant new hole in the earth. Now you have to consider this mind-blowing comparison. If you take 1 single ton of traditional gold ore mined straight from the earth, and you compare that to 1 ton of discarded smartphones, the smartphones actually contain 80 times more gold. No way, right? But it's true. Our electronic waste is packed with super high concentrations of precious metals like gold, silver, palladium, and copper. It is basically a highly concentrated resource just waiting to be tapped. Ultimately, this whole concept of urban mining is the absolute key to creating what experts call a circular economy. Instead of our current linear system where we just take, make, and dispose, which leaves a terrible trail of pollution, a circular economy endlessly recovers these resources. Metals are reclaimed, processed using advanced magnets and chemical solvents, and then looped right back into the manufacturing process. It's brilliant. But before you can actually contribute to this circular economy, you have to prepare your devices safely. Part 4. Wipe your personal data. Protect your privacy. Listen, simply dragging your files into that little digital trash bin icon on your desktop, that does not protect you from fraud. Deleting data the conventional way doesn't actually destroy it. The code is still right there on your device. It's just hidden from sight. And tech-savvy criminals can easily recover it to get access to your financial records and your private life. So here is a super simple 4-step checklist you should follow every single time you get ready to recycle or donate a smart device. Step 1, back up your important files to the cloud or hard drive. Step 2, sign completely out of all your accounts, iCloud, Google, the whole shebang. Step 3, perform a complete factory reset. This is what actually destroys the data. For older PCs, you might even need to use free overwriting software like Eraser. And finally, Step 4, physically remove your SIM card or any SD memory cards. Seriously, do not skip that last one. All right, with your data securely wiped, you are finally ready to clear out that drawer of old tech. But where does it actually go? Part 5, where to recycle tech, drop-off options. Look, it is incredibly common to just hoard this stuff. I mean, 45% of Americans just stash their old phones in a drawer somewhere. And get this, only 39% of people have ever even recycled a phone. By holding onto these devices purely out of habit, or worse, eventually throwing them in the normal trash where they leach lead and mercury into the soil, we are keeping vital, precious materials completely out of the urban mining supply chain. We really have to break this habit. Fortunately, there are some really great drop-off options out there that take all the guesswork out of recycling. If you've got bulky items like old TVs or a huge mess of cables, Best Buy is kind of the heavy hitter, though just a heads up, they do charge about a $25 fee for TVs. If you're looking to recycle office tech, computers, printers, things like that, Staples is fantastic. It's completely free, and Rewards members actually earn $5 back in rewards per visit. And hey, if you just want to recycle a mobile phone or a tablet, keep an eye out for Eco ATM kiosks. You can find them in major grocery stores, they evaluate your device right there on the spot, and they might even hand you instant cash. So we come right back to that drawer in your home. Having seen the incredible environmental cost of mining new materials, the sheer human toll of the e-waste epidemic, and the stunning hidden value that is just trapped in our old, discarded devices, I have to ask, is your junk drawer actually a gold mine? And more importantly, will you take just 5 minutes to wipe your data and finally turn your e-waste into tomorrow's resources? Because the circular economy literally starts right there in your home. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.